What is going on, Gen Nation? How you doing out there? ScytheX here, and we are at episode 13 of the Multiversal podcast.
Oh yeah.
We have, as you heard just now, we have a guest with us this time around, and joining me for episode 13 is Spartacris. How you doing, homie?
What's up, man? I'm excited to finally get into one of these episodes here. I've been trying to find time.
Yeah.
Finally here.
We got quite a bit to talk about, but real quick, just to let you guys know, if you don't already, we are on all, I don't want to say all, but we are on most podcast channels.
On all the important ones.
The important ones, correct.
Right.
So Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, Player FM. If you just search for us, you'll find it. We'll pop up pretty easily at this point. And just a quick reminder, we do have merch available. So if you look in the description, if you're on YouTube, the link will be in the description. If you're listening through the podcast, just our episode details should have the link as well.
Yep.
And then, of course, if you're joining us live on Twitch, you can just do a command merchant chat and it'll generate the link for you. But we got, shirts, hoodies, mugs, phone cases, all kinds of good stuff. And you can't see it now, but I'm sporting the GGEN hoodie right now, and it's super comfortable.
Yeah, same here.
So hopefully if you guys pick something up, you can tweet it at us and kind of show off the merch, and that'd be greatly appreciated. And throughout the whole episode, our socials will be running across the bottom. So without further ado, this is episode 13. We are going to start in the entertainment verse. And Chris, we're going to start with the Flash on the CW. Okay.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So we're not going to go too deep into, the CW verse and anything like that. But Grant Gustin recently posted on Instagram. He called it the first time of putting on the Flash suit. And it's bittersweet because it's the final season of the Flash on the CW. And if anyone's still following the Arrowverse, the Flash has been the only show carrying the load, I would say, at this point.
By far.
There's some moments in other series, but Chris, what did you think of the Flash, and how do you feel
so the Flash
ending?
Green Arrow has always been my favorite in the CW verse, mainly because it was the first one, and I like the more gritty, kind of grounded show.
Yeah, for sure.
But the Flash was very easily, in the first season, one of the top shows. I mean, the finale to the first season was so well done, and the setup with the villain was well done.
The only villain lasted was
brilliant, so brilliant that he's still the only good villain that the show has done, and they keep bringing him back. Eobard Thawne over and over again. I feel like the show very quickly wore out its welcome a little bit for me. 2 seasons, I was really into it, then it started to drop, mainly because it was too soap opera-ish. If that makes any sense.
They CW'd it. They had something good and they CW'd it.
They CW'd it, yeah. I mean, everyone was too pretty. I mean, and even that Green Arrow it was the same problem. It was like they start building this ensemble cast. They get to a point where every season it's like they feel necessary to add a new person, and there's no room for that. And the Flash hit that after 2 seasons. We get Cisco, Caitlin, Iris, and then Barry.
They had a team right away.
That was fine. You didn't need to expand from there. Why not just keep those characters, give them storylines, whatever? And then they kept bringing in new characters, and you had to keep switching. The one thing that did work for a long time was the Harrison Wells kind of doppelganger that kept showing up, and it gave the actor a chance to play a new role. It's like a fun
little cameo every so often.
Yeah, that worked probably through like 6 seasons, but even then, it's just wore out its welcome. That was the problem with the show, just wore out its welcome.
Yeah,
and it's almost a little too late. It should have ended a while ago. But I also, having said that, Barry Allen is still the best Flash we've ever gotten on screen, and I hope he continues in the movies.
Yeah, agreed. And that was going to be my point. Like, it's bittersweet that this show is ending. And I feel like everything from the Arrowverse is gonna slowly end as the CW was bought.
Mhm.
So I think anything that's like a DC property is probably gonna fall back to Discovery, Warner Brothers, and I would imagine if they're gonna reboot the TV verse in some fashion, it would happen on either HBO or Discovery Plus at this point. I
Yeah.
think the CW not being a Warner Brothers property is all those shows are gonna start falling off the network, I feel like.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think if they reboot the show, do you think they change it to a more grounded and gritty kind of style, or stick with the kind of campiness that the show had?
I would love a good mixture because Barry Allen is meant to be somewhat of a lighthearted, funny type of character.
Agreed.
But the stakes involved for him are so much bigger than the other grounded superheroes like Green Arrow and stuff like that. Those are all like city level, ground level,
Right.
problems where the Flash is changing time for a whole universe. You know what I mean? Like they're just bigger in scale. So I feel like it needs to hold the grittiness and kind of like adapt to the tone of the overall universe, I guess they're building, but still keep its campiness.
I'm sorry, good. I feel like the Flash kind of falls into the same group as Batman and Superman for me, where basically everyone knows the Flash, everyone knows the powers, everyone knows like the kind of origin story. You don't really need to make him the focus. They should be used to bring fans into new movies and new properties, introduce new heroes. Team somebody up with the Flash, team somebody up with Batman, team somebody up with Superman. You know what I mean? I've been saying that for a while. I just don't think they necessarily need their own stuff. How much more can you show us for these characters that we've seen already? I mean, the Flash. Don't forget, the Flash is one of the few comic book heroes to have a TV show that was popular. Back before comic book stuff was taken seriously.
And I love the fact that he's in this show.
Yeah, that's how good the show was. That they brought the same actor to play the same character back for this show. So it's like, it kind of shows you that people know this character. We don't really need to focus. They did a good job with what they had. Yeah. But in my opinion, move on. Use him as a secondary character.
You know what's crazy about this show? It does the visual effects better than the movie did.
Oh, thank you. That silly like skate walking or skate running that Ezra Miller had to do.
Bro, it looks so bad.
So bad. And this show,
he exactly like you said. It looked like he was skating a sprint.
Well, I'm pretty sure if you watch the behind the scenes for the Justice League, the theatrical one, Zack Snyder said that he wanted to model the movement after, was it like speed skating, and that's why he does that weird slow like arm swinging, and it's just it's just really bad decision after bad decision.
And the fact that the lightning was white made zero sense to me.
That's just Zack Snyder doing it his own way, regardless.
He hates color, so
everything's got to be dull and muted colors,
black and white, dull gray. But the visual effects in for a CW budget show, the visual effects were actually pretty spot on for Flash. I loved it.
Absolutely.
But to wrap this up, like you said, and like we've been saying, the both of us, I think, for a long time now, is Grant Gustin needs to put the suit on for the movies. Kick Ezra Miller out, insert Grant Gustin. He already has the knowledge of the character because he's had to do a lot of Flash reading for this character, because despite it being the CW verse, they tackled a lot of the comical issues, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
So you had to have some sort of knowledge to it. And
I guess the problem there though is does Grant Gustin want to be the Flash for another 10 years?
I see. Here's the thing. I think because he's reached like a certain level of acting fame now. He recently put out a Netflix movie where it got, I think, almost, if not a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes, and he was pinned as like the best part of the movie. I forget what the name of the movie was, but it was like high praise for him as an actor, you know. And
Right.
I'm thinking he wants to get into more movies and kind of leave the grueling scheduling of a network TV show that's 20 something episodes long, you know.
I guess that's the one positive if he switches to the movies is he could spend a couple years, make the next Flash movie, and then, you know, take a few years off to do whatever he wants to do, and then just come back to it.
Like what they film for 8 months, maybe comes back for a couple reshoots or whatever, but you know, he films for 8 months and then he could take a year or two off or whatever and then work on other projects. He's not locked into the Flash every year because scheduling, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think he would do it in that aspect, but I don't know. I would love to see it. But
if WB is smart, they throw some money his way, and at the end of the Flash movie, Flashpoint, they basically have like Ezra Miller, you know, become one with the Speed Force, and then all of a sudden, like an end credit scene, there's a big flash of light, everyone's looking at it, and Grant Gustin walks out in a Flash suit. Dude, like,
I would
where
lose
am I?
My shit if that actually happened, bro. I would
absolutely
lose my shit.
I get chills just thinking about it right now.
Yeah,
like that alone would make me like want to see future DC movies.
Yeah,
just that one scene.
Yep, it would establish it really quick that Ezra's out, Grant's in, and the universe is off and running. Let's go.
Right.
Like,
even if they took 5 years later, or 5 to 10 years to come out with another Flash movie, but we just know that this is what the direction they're going in.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be worth it.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, moving on, we're going to switch over to I was gonna put this towards the end because it kind of blends into the gaming verse, but screw it.
Okay,
here we are. Sonic Prime, they just released a teaser trailer, and in my opinion it looked better than I thought it would. I didn't know what to expect from this exactly, especially coming from Netflix, because it's typically not something Netflix handles. But
much better than I thought it would.
Yeah, much but this show is so interesting to me because they don't show you too much from the teaser, but they kind of give you like there's other Sonics in the world, you know what I mean? And
yeah, and the show looks like a video game brought to life.
Yeah, 100%.
They clearly took inspiration from the 2D animated games or 2D sprites and built a 3D world out of that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I briefly looked up like what the show is about, and it's basically a Sonic verse. I don't know if you knew that, but Sonic Prime,
you mentioned it.
Yeah,
I didn't get that from the trailer, but you mentioned that to me yesterday or earlier today.
Yeah, so Sonic Prime is apparently like the Prime Earth or the Prime world that Sonic's on. Like that's world number 1. And apparently something happens that shatters the universe, and there's all these Sonic verses, and so you see like I think in the teaser trailer showed like a black color Sonic, and I think there was maybe another one, but I feel
like that we don't really need though.
Yeah, I feel like the multiverse is the flavor of the month.
Yes,
and
100%.
Shout out to the podcast, but
hey, listen, that's not a problem, right? When it comes to the podcast, I'll take it.
But it's this. The MCU is driving the topic for sure.
For absolutely. I mean, if anyone had a question of how powerful the MCU has become and Disney, by extension, it's just look at the fact that the multiverse is everywhere.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy to me? The DC should have jumped on this before the MCU did, because they have a crazy multiverse.
Yeah. And
then you end it with the Crisis of Infinite Earth in a movie format, and oh my god, that would be an event of all events on the screen.
See, I think that isn't just a perfect, not to get too crazy off topic, but that's a perfect example of how there's some executives probably who work for Warner Brothers and maybe now Discovery, who just didn't trust that the fans of comic book movies were ready for something that out there.
Right.
And I agree with you, especially as like the Infinity War and Endgame were kind of closing the stories. DC had an opportunity to jump in with their longer history of movies that were popular, because they have a lot more movies that were done well before the MCU came around.
Right.
And they could have slowly started trickling in these like nostalgic cameos and stuff, and really won the crowd with their choices. But instead, they waited, they sat back, and kept trying to rush to catch up rather than do their own thing. That's how they could have separated themselves.
And what's sad now that I'm thinking about it? They're rushing to catch up when they had the commanding lead from the start.
From the start. I mean, MCU has completely lapped them at this point. But
right.
You're right.
It's crazy, man. But they have the potential, and to go back to Sonic, this is apparently the Sonic that we know, I guess. His whole objective is to piece the universe together to get his prime reality back together.
So our Sonic is Sonic Prime.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
And they're not calling him Dr. Robotnik; they're calling him the Egg Guy or something like that. I don't know if that's just a play on words.
Why make that change? That I don't get. Why make that change?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna be like a weird grand reveal later on while you're watching, but to not call him Dr. Robotnik, kind of strange.
Yeah, those are like the weird, silly things that I feel like producers, again, they want to like differentiate themselves, and they choose the wrong thing to differentiate their property. When it's like that's basic information. He's Eggman, Dr. Robotnik. The players don't change. Keep that the same. Come up with another story.
Exactly. But so this is due out the winter of 2022. So I'm assuming sometime December.
Well, when is the game coming out? Frontiers. The game is not for a while. So.
November, December
of this year or next year?
This year, I believe.
Oh, so clearly the show, I guess, is meant to capitalize on the game. Okay.
Yeah, might actually be next month. We'll go through the October list. That's
we'll
coming
get there
out later.
I'm jumping the gun.
I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to double check. So with that being said, we're gonna leave the Sonic verse and shoot over to the MCU as we mentioned it. This is strange to me, and I want your thoughts on this. Marvel Studios said they are going to focus on the casting of Fantastic Four while the script is being written. Now, I feel like they should have already been doing that. And it's strange to me that they haven't gotten anyone, like not even a
little surprising, right?
Yeah, it's surprising to me because they cast so well for their movies.
Right.
So maybe they don't want to rush the process to get the right person, which I understand, but I feel like we're so far along that we're behind on.
My confusion is more about like, how do you cast your Reed Richards if you don't know what the character is going to be on paper? You know what I'm saying? Like, Robert Downey Jr. arguably created the Tony Stark character for the MCU. They really didn't have a script, and he kind of embodied the character anyway. But in a property this big that they announced so long ago, you would think they'd have a story out. They'd have at least one treatment of the script so they knew the kind of personality they wanted, and then you could start casting. So it's a little weird to me, or a little scary, I should say, that suddenly now they don't even know what the character is going to be on paper, and they're going to start looking for an actor. I'm very surprised about that.
Yeah, it's strange to me. They just seem so far behind on it. I don't know.
Right, and the Fantastic Four is such a huge property. You would think that they would be kind of ahead of the game. They announced it how long ago now? We've been waiting for them to release this movie. Oh, I don't know. But
yeah, they actually have a director, so maybe the ball's starting to move. But I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is.
Feige has he's earned as much what's the word? Free will, not free will. He's earned as much trust from us as anyone could. So
I agree. I will say this though. I hope he's not. And I've said this before about the MCU, like it's possibly stretching itself too thin at this point with all the projects coming out so quickly. Right. I hope now with Feige, he's not burning himself out, because now he's in control of Star Wars and he's got that whole plate to deal with on top of the multiversal madness, I'll call it, of this saga.
Yeah, that's the one scary thing. Once they gave him Star Wars, like, just because he's good with the MCU doesn't mean he suddenly can be so good with the Marvel stuff. I mean,
and it's exciting, like, because you have somebody like Kevin Feige in control of Star Wars, so it's like we know the quality that he can produce. But but is it gonna hurt both properties because he's too burnt out? You know what I mean?
It's also the one thing that people got to remember, as much as I love Feige and I kind of, I have his back essentially, is he was a key part in some of the MCU or Marvel movies that sucked, like the original Daredevil and the original Fantastic Four. Like, he was producer on those movies. It wasn't until he had free reign and could build this giant universe that it started to click and kind of grow. So if he's doing like a standalone Star Wars thing or even like a trilogy, we don't know that he's gonna knock it out of the park. I mean, he might try and build a universe, and that's not really what Star Wars needs.
Right.
So I kind of I take the fact that he's gonna be doing those movies with a little bit of caution, because I don't know that his style is gonna work.
Yeah.
But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. It's just interesting to me. Next up, we have the Beverly Hills Cop original cast is I guess confirmed to be coming back for the new Beverly Hills movie.
Yeah, there was all the behind the scenes pictures of the original cast filming right now.
Yeah. I think that's amazing that everyone agreed to come back for this. I think Beverly Hills was always a fun movie to watch. And it's good to see Eddie Murphy coming back into acting. He did Coming to America, and now he's got Beverly Hills. And
now, let me ask you this question though: is there a part of you that thinks Eddie Murphy has kind of lost his touch and he can't do what Eddie Murphy does anymore?
Maybe because we just haven't seen him do it in so long. So it's very possible, but I feel like with the original cast being back, it might help him kind of get back into that role, into that character. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Do we know what the fourth one's actually about at this point?
I have not seen anything online. I do know. I think Netflix has promised it's essentially going to go back to like the hard R rating, and they're going to kind of let Eddie Murphy kind of run with it, do his own thing, a lot of ad libbing, and his style that works so well for him.
I think that'll be amazing. To this day, I have the theme song of Wonderworld stuck in my head.
I thought you were going in a different direction. The theme song of Wonderworld. That's funny.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite parts is when it's like towards the end of the movie and the theme song is still playing. Like, it plays throughout the whole movie because the whole movie is basically in Wonderworld at this point of the third one. And the guy's like, "Can you turn this fucking song up?" Like, he's so pissed off. This shit just cracked me up. But that song was like embedded in my head at this point.
I mean, I'm a giant fan of the movies. I'm a big fan of Eddie Murphy, so I'm just excited to have it kind of coming back. And these nostalgic kind of remakes or reboots have actually been done pretty well overall over the last decade. So I don't think, especially Netflix too. Netflix, I think you mentioned it earlier before we went live. Netflix has a pretty good track record with their stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned with it not being great.
Agreed. Mr. Buttersworth, what's up? Welcome. And he says, "What's up, fellas? Barbecuing in this Texas heat. Yikes. It's like, it was like,
it's gotta be brutal.
40 degrees this morning. It was freezing." He says, "All well, I think." All right. So moving on, Beverly Hills, Eddie Murphy doing his thing. We have, James Bond. Now, the report from the creators of James Bond is they don't want someone to just do a couple movies and split. They want a full 10 to 12 year commitment of the character. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
How does that make you feel?
I actually agree with this. I feel like changing the actor so quickly is kind of strange, especially if you're trying to build an overall story with this particular Bond. Like how they did with Daniel Craig.
Right.
All of his movies kind of just like played off of each other. And Pierce Brosnan too, in a way. And I just hope that continues, and getting a 10 to 12 year commitment I think would be a good thing. And it also tells the actors right off the bat, like, this is what we're expecting. So if you say yes, there's no getting out of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but I feel like you're not going to get Idris Elba to commit to 10 to 12 years of Bond if he's up for it. You know what I mean?
I feel like if you're asking for that kind of commitment, you need to get a young person and really go through Bond's career from rookie. Like, the first movie they come out with could be his first or second mission, and then we're following his career essentially. And then if he does 10 movies, we've seen, a decade of him being Bond, and we see the grizzled kind of older guy.
Right.
But at the same time, though, like Bond for a long time, each movie really had very little connection to the previous ones. And it worked. It was always popular, always fun.
Yeah.
The Daniel Craig ones were great for a continuing story, but as a Bond fan, I feel like it's maybe time to go back to, one or two movies, then move on to a new character or a new actor, I should say, and kind of keep them disconnected a little bit. Let them be fun. We already have movies like Mission Impossible, the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
The Bourne movies. We already have the Daniel Craig Bonds. We had those like continuous stories. Not every movie needs to be this big like continuing 10-year plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just find it weird that like every movie stands alone and it has zero connection to the previous one, because then it's like, what was, I don't know. To me, it's just kind of odd. Every character is the same, but they don't know what happened the last movie type of thing. You know what I mean?
I got you. I feel like the last Bond movie with Daniel Craig kind of established that 007 is not a specific person, it's a label or a title. So it's almost like it opened the door for future Bond movies to be a single movie. You hire an actor, give them a chance to kind of wow the world, and they're 007. By the end of it, have them retire as 007. It goes to someone else. And then you can really kind of run through a bunch of different actors. Each movie could feel different, could have a different style. Some could be more campy, some could be more serious.
Yeah.
But that's that's my opinion. Buttersworth also says the new Bond should have different stories too. I guess we'll see. I mean, Daniel Craig movies were great, and obviously the way the studios work in Hollywood, if something works, you just keep doing the same thing until you run it to the ground. So they're clearly going to push for that,
I mean, Pierce Brosnan, they were like a blend of both. I feel like he was kind of separated per movie, but they all had some sort of connection as far as his ties to MI6 and stuff like that. So if they do something like the Brosnan days, I'd be all for it. But like you said, you need to get somebody younger who's going to commit to those 10 to 12 years, because I don't see, because my two picks for Bond is Idris Elba and everyone's favorite Superman character who's picked for every role at this point.
I mean, it's a joke, right? That he's gonna be in every movie.
Yeah, he's gonna do the captain's autobiography or whatever, the biopic. But I don't see those two actors committing to a 10-year plan.
Idris Elba for sure. I think that was the problem with Daniel Craig too, is that he's already an established actor. He's already got a lot of credits to his name. So it's like, why would he want to be stuck in that role for that long? You know what I mean? And
he ended up doing 10 years, didn't he? Like, when was Casino Royale?
I think it was 6 movies over the course of 10 years. So so he ended up doing 10 years, but we didn't really see 10 years of Bond. We just saw I don't know how many
Bond movies
passed.
are generally like every 2-3 years they come out. I can't see those actors doing it. So they would have to go young, and I still think it can't be like a nobody, but someone who's established and young would be pretty good. And I don't want to hear anyone say Tom Holland. He's not ready for that.
No, that's a horrible choice for Bond. Honestly, I think Nicholas Hoult would be an excellent Bond.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, he's the one. He was Beast in the X-Men. The Matthew Vaughn X-Men movies. I think he'd be a great Bond.
Butter said they should bring back like a Roger Moore storyline.
I hated Roger Moore's Bond. I'm one of the few people. I watched all the Bonds somewhat recently, and
Yeah.
I thought the campiness of the Roger Moore movies was so dumb. I was not a fan.
Yeah, I like the Connery ones, and then I
Yep.
kind of just like, for me, skip right to Brosnan at that point.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, we'll see what they who they cast for Bond, because 10 to 12 years is a pretty big commitment for an actor, because they seem to want to jump from project to project pretty quickly at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would make sense if they have an actual plan. So if they want Bond for 10 years over, say, 6 movies, but they have it planned out with a story, and they know the connections, and you know they really have it under control the entire time, beginning to end, it'll work.
Yeah.
But if it's like, we want them for 10 years, we're gonna do 6 movies, and then we'll see how the first movie does, and then go from there, then it's not gonna do well.
Yeah. All right. Well, next one I'm pretty excited about. They announced Constantine 2, and
talk about,
I don't know about you, man. Constantine was one of my favorite movies, and it's top tier Keanu, but take Keanu out of it, as just a movie as a whole, it was one of my favorite movies growing up. I loved the Constantine movie.
So I wouldn't say it was one of my favorites, but I do think it was one of the few movies that built this world and set up an interesting character and story, and we just, you know, the studios just didn't give it a chance. If they made a sequel back then, it would have turned into a franchise for sure, because no one I know who saw it, no one said that they didn't like it. Everyone enjoyed the movie and wanted more of it,
right?
But again, I didn't do well for the first movie, so the studios said forget. I'm so glad they're bringing this back. I'm a huge fan of Keanu Reeves in general, but like,
yeah,
you know, again, a sequel to this where they don't have to now establish the world, introduce the characters, and they can kind of get right into it, is going to be similar to Hellboy 2 versus Hellboy 1. It's going to be a very big improvement over the original, especially with the special effects we have now. It's going to be good.
I would love if they bring back Gabriel with no wings, and just have her like putzing around the world.
I would love that. You think now? Let me ask this question: the first one had an end credit scene with Shia LaBeouf's character becoming an angel. Do you think they bring him back for the sequel?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing nowadays.
He's all over the place, dude. He's all over the place.
And there was another role, and I forget what it was, but there was like another movie coming out where like, Indiana Jones. We talked about this, I think, while you were away. When they announced Indiana Jones, and Harrison Ford said the character dies with him. He wants nobody playing Indiana Jones, like the movie franchise is gone, basically. So it kind of like kills the fact that Shia LaBeouf would have been, I guess, the heir to the character, not so much the actual character, but to, you know, the world itself. So it kind of kills him on that, but I don't know if they bring him back for the world of Constantine, even though he was kind of like the heir to the Constantine shit.
That would have been, was he heir? See, I don't know. I don't know if he would have been, if it would have made sense to give him the Constantine kind of name.
He was like the right hand man. He was the one that was actually like reading all the books.
Right. He wasn't training, right?
Yeah.
But now let me ask you this question: Is the fact that Hollywood can't seem to hand off a character or property to a new actor, is that a problem of Hollywood, or is that a problem of us as fans never embracing the handoff?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because I feel like they tried to do it with Indiana Jones. They tried to do it with the Jason Bourne movies. They tried to do it with The Rock basically being handed the action star mantle from Schwarzenegger. And The Rock, I guess, is a success story, but not because Schwarzenegger endorsed it, just because he's The Rock and he basically wasn't going to stop until he was successful.
Yep.
I just feel like it's weird because I could see Shia LaBeouf being a good, you know, not Harrison Ford, but a good Indiana Jones kind of archetype.
Right.
You know, he's a good actor. I could see him pulling it off. Maybe that one movie wasn't that great, but you know, it's weird that they can't just, you know, it's like we can't embrace the fact that these actors get old. Let's hand it to someone else, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I don't know where they go with it, but it kind of sucks that the franchise dies with Harrison Ford. but at the same time, what else can they get out of it? So I don't. It's kind of
Yeah, especially if you're trying to establish Uncharted as a new property too. Like you can't, you know, I don't know if there's room for two big globe-trotting architects. You know what I mean? If you're ever gonna bring Lara Croft back too, it's like you need to move. You need to kind of like one property and you're done.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, the fact that Keanu agreed to do Constantine and the studios agreed to do Constantine is a big plus for us as fans. And the first one, what's crazy about the first one is you would have had no idea it's a DC property just on that movie alone. It was just such a great standalone film. Like you didn't need it to be a connection, and this kind of goes against of what I say about the DC universe in a whole,
right?
But the Constantine character is so far out there compared to everyone else. He doesn't need to connect in that way,
right.
So, I don't know.
You know what the thing is though, is that with the DC movies, and I mean, I guess this works with Marvel movies too. The reason why the MCU works so well, especially in the beginning, is because they focused on telling good individual stories that had very, very loose kind of connections. And then it didn't start to feel super connected until the end of phase 2 and fully in phase 3.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by that is Iron Man 1 had almost no connections to anything else. It was just Iron Man 1.
But Captain the only America thing with those was they had the breadcrumbs at the after credits.
At the end.
Scenes.
The end credits, that's all. It was one scene.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, universally, people don't really like. And the biggest reason is because it focused so much on connecting to other movies. Then they went to Iron Man 3, very little connection to other movies. Everyone loved that one. You know, besides the Mandarin thing, but that's a separate conversation. But so DC could do these movies, like what they should be doing is like the sequel to Constantine. Maybe give us an end credit scene where it connects to, I don't know, Blue Beetle or another character, and that's it. You don't have, the movie itself doesn't need to connect. The end credit, excuse me, that's what the end credit scene is for.
Agreed.
And
100%.
Again, if DC is, if anyone at Discovery, I should say, is smart, they'll kind of slow down a little bit and just go, look, make a good movie. You know, we'll put somebody in front of a green screen and film a post-credit scene after the fact. Make this movie good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Mr. Buttersworth says, real quick, I would like to see either Jax from SOA or the dude that played Jigsaw as Bond.
The guy that played, oh yeah, he would be a good, what the hell's his name?
I don't know, but that's an interesting pick. I can't see Jax from Sons of Anarchy being Bond. I just don't see it.
So he's another one. He might not be as established an actor as Daniel Craig, but he's definitely not going to want to play the same character like that for 10 years. He's going to think to himself, I'm too good for this. My career is much better.
Yeah. He's also super excited for Constantine. So I have a question to pose to you, since I have you with me on this episode. If you could be the lead of any movie that's out, what movie would you pick? It could be literally any movie of any genre, comedy,
any
action.
movie of any genre. So something that's already out, right?
Yes.
When I'm like, and you want the name of a specific movie franchise, not like just
and don't think
genre.
of it as like don't think of it as like, oh, I'm gonna pick Tony Stark because I'm gonna be the leader of the whole MCU. No, it's just one movie. What lead do you want to be?
That's a good question. I think I would go with what would I go with? I don't even know. I kind of like the idea. I would want to be an action movie, right? It would have to be a good action movie with fight scenes and stuff like that, not necessarily like guns or anything like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, what would I pick? I would probably say maybe like the Raid franchise.
The what franchise?
The Raid Redemption, and the Raid 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I think those would be that would be the franchise I'd want. It would put me on the map. It would give me options on like what to pick for my next project, and it would get me in shape. That's my biggest. I need to get in shape.
I was expecting something nowhere near that, so that's interesting. I'm glad you said something out of the box like that.
What would you pick?
I don't know. See, I was going back and forth between what's the name? Some action like The Matrix, being the lead role of the first Matrix. But in my mind, it's like if I'm gonna work these movies, what am I gonna have the most fun with? And I feel like being the lead of a comedy, like a old school
Right.
or something like that. I feel like that would be the most fun project to be involved with as a lead
Like something where you can
character.
like ad lib and just kind of go off the top of your head.
Yeah, like, cause think about it. You know how it must have taken so long to film a movie like Old School or Anchorman 1, things like that, where like Will Ferrell just delivering lines is making the whole cast and crew laugh to where they have to reset and do the whole scene over again. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's just probably a great time to film a movie like that. So
Those
I'm
probably are fun.
yeah. But then at the
I don't
end of
know.
the day, you're watching a comedy movie, and for me, and then for you, we're watching you kick some ass in an action thriller. So
Right.
it's you know,
I think the kicking ass part is really what I would want to do.
yeah.
That would be
I hear
the
you. I hear you.
that would be what gets my my goat going, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I get it. All right. Well, that was an interesting movie pick, and I respect it.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're gonna slide over to the gaming verse, and
Do it.
I'm excited to have you on with us for this. But
Yeah, man. We talk about games all the time. It's nice to be able to kind of get our
Yeah.
opinion out there so people can
yeah,
hear.
yeah. Last week was a gaming only episode, so this is why I wanted, you know, to trickle in a lot of the entertainment news that we couldn't really cover in the theater room.
Right.
But now that we're getting into the gaming verse, we do have some news to kind of point out that I think our audience would like. And first topic right off the bat is EA and Motive and Marvel are collaborating on a brand new Iron Man game. And if you don't know who Motive is, they are the creators of Dead Space, which is a fantastic single player experience.
Yeah, Dead Space is amazing.
It's one of I think it was a PS3 game back in the day. Might have been all platforms, I think, back then, but what a great game, and what a great story and character, and the developer was fantastic behind it. So the fact that they have the reins of an Iron Man game that's supported by Marvel and EA publishing, this game could be huge. This game could be huge on the market. What are your thoughts?
I'm a little I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of it. It could be huge, but I don't know. I just don't know that they're gonna, like, Iron Man. I don't know that he translates well to a video game, especially like to be like the main character of the video game. I guess you can give him different suits and kind of what's the word, like diversify the gameplay a little bit that way. But I mean, for the most part, it's gonna be just a regular action beat 'em up. You fly around, you shoot projectiles, move on. That's fun, you know, for what, a couple of hours, and then you got to move on. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, though. Like, so it's kind of the same thing with Spider-Man in a sense. You're just swinging around, and you're just going from street crime to street crime until a story triggers. You know what I mean? And I feel like that could work with an Iron Man type of game where you're just in your suit handling business, and then when the story triggers and you get a crazy cutscene with Tony Stark with the mask off or something, like, I think it could be a fun game. And if Motive is in control of it, I think it would be interesting. And I know people hate on the Avengers game, but Iron Man wasn't like boring in any sense in that game. I think they did pretty well with capturing Tony Stark's character.
Right.
And it's great. It's great, like, homework, I guess, for Motive to kind of pull from, like, research.
Listen, I'll give it a chance in the sense that the first trailer will either win me over or kind of solidify what I'm expecting, and I won't be interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I hear you. Mr. Buzzworth says, I would want Ace Ventura or any movie with Seth Rogen. That's what I'm saying. Like, a comedy, man. A comedy would be fun as hell to create and be the lead of.
That's true. Maybe I'll start with the action movies and go back and then go to a comedy.
Yeah. No, but dude, I don't have a definitive answer on that question, because I would love an action film or a comedy. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of it as perspective of creating the film, not the end product. You know what I mean?
Right. But just to kind of go back to Iron Man real quick, I think my fear is, you know, if you ground him in certain levels where he can't fly or he can only hover, it kind of does the character a disservice.
Yeah.
And if you make the game completely open where you constantly fly and you don't, and you know, there's no kind of levels, it also kind of hurts the game. So
That's why
finding that balance is going to be tough.
That's why you need that Spider-Man balance, man, where it's like you're in the air swinging for most of the game to get to your locations, but when the battle happens, a lot of it is not in the air, it's on the ground. And with Iron Man, I feel like he can hit the ground, punch, shield, block, punch, you know, kick, shoot rockets, and then pop up in the air and fly around. I think it could work, but we'll have to see what they do. I think that they have motive and Marvel Studios kind of Marvel Games backing it.
Right.
It should give them the tools to make a.
We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
I do think you got to stay away from having Tony Stark missions. So, like, to your point about Spider-Man, is the swinging, number one, was done in a way where it was fun and you were actively involved. I think that's one of the negative things for Iron Man game 2, is that the flying is pretty much, you know, hold X to fly, maybe give yourself a booster, and then you just steer them. So it's like you're driving a car or something like that the whole time. That's not that fun. That gets boring or tedious quickly. The swinging, on the other hand, adding the different moves, you know, having to control where you're aiming the web, that all adds
aerial
to the
tricks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like I feel like there's almost more to gamify in the swinging than is for the flying.
Yeah,
but however, you know, if you make them feel weighted, if you kind of almost slow it down a little bit, so you have to really kind of be in control and give them, I guess you can give them some different environments to fly through, so to speak. If you approach it as like a fighter pilot kind of game, where you have to create environments and kind of really get creative with a type of missions you're doing, it could work. But we'll see when the trailer comes out. Whenever they do a trailer, that'll basically decide if I'm into it or not.
And keeping with the Marvel gaming, MCU gaming is kind of a topic, and a lot of people want to see Marvel create an MCU in the gaming verse.
There was a lot of talk of that when Spider-Man first came out, but it seems like only Insomniac is really doing that with the Wolverine game. So like that's going to tie into Spider-Man, and now they got Miles Morales, and it's like, you know, but now do you think they need that in the video game world?
So I'll say this, I if they do it compartmentally, I think it'll be awesome. I think it's an impossible feat to have every publisher and developer creating a Marvel game to kind of you're basically handicapping every developer, saying you can't do this story until this story comes out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They lose their creative freedom. But if you say Insomniac, you can do whatever you want, build whatever worlds you want. There's no reason why Wolverine shouldn't exist in the same world as Insomniac's Spider-Man.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, it would make less sense for them to be just two completely separate worlds when those characters exist.
You got to keep in mind too that, like, having a crossover, let's say the Iron Man game comes out and it's excellent, right? Now we have Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Iron Man's good, and then they come out Wolverine and it's excellent.
Yeah.
You got to try and take, they're going to feel like different games. All three of those characters, the Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Iron Man, are going to feel like different games with different gameplay. To try and take those games and then make a coherent game where they're together is almost impossible. And they did that already with the Avengers game. And, you know, that game is not horrible, but it shows you that, you know, you have to kind of give everyone a little spot to shine. And by doing that, you kind of take away from what makes those games, their own individual games, special. But I don't think it's a possibility, to be honest. I just don't think you can do it. You know, I agree with you. Wolverine should exist in the Insomniac world. Maybe you give them handful of characters, and you tell them, make your own little, you know, crossover game with these characters or build to it. You could do the same thing with, say, Iron Man, Thor, and all them. Give them to the people who are making Iron Man and let them do their own thing. But that shouldn't be the focus, honestly. If you're gonna make an Avengers game, make an Avengers game. Don't make 5 different games and then give us an Avengers game 30 years from now. the turnaround time for a game too is so long.
It is. It is. It's years and years. Unless you're
Can't
Call
crank
of
'em out
Duty
like
and
that.
you're just every
Well,
year.
Yeah, yeah. And
Multiple
there's a lot of
studios.
complaints about that. Same thing with Assassin's Creed. Assassin's
Right.
Creed had to stop and go, okay, we'll slow down because every year it's not doing anything.
Right. It's just copy paste. It's like Madden at this point. It's just a roster
Yeah.
update for $70.
That's basically what it is. It's a new shine, a new paint job.
Exactly. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you about the MCU gaming because it works in television or movies, but the MCU, like I said, should be per developer and not connected by all developers, because then that's just a shit show waiting to happen.
Imagine the Batman Arkham games are considered, in my opinion, the best comic book video games we've ever gotten. I think they're all very consistent. They fit the character of Batman. The story is good and all that jazz. Imagine giving, I don't know, Midway Superman, and they made a good Superman game, and then telling them, okay, now you and Rocksteady have to put together a crossover game with Superman and Batman, and you got to try and keep aspects of both characters, the detective vision, the detective the Predator levels, the hand-to-hand fighting, and also have levels designed where you could fly like Superman with all the superpowers. It just to put that in a game, it just wouldn't work. So I don't think it would work within the MCU either.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I know you've played Sifu. How far did you get, and what did you think of Sifu? Because my point of bringing it up is it is coming to the Switch, and this, I believe, was a PlayStation exclusive
for a while.
And now that it's coming to the Switch, it's going to open up, the Sifu world to all the Nintendo heads. So what are your thoughts on Sifu, and will it work on Nintendo?
I think a game like Sifu is kind of like a must-have for a system like the Switch. It really, so the levels, I made it through level 3, got my ass handed to me in level 3, and I've never gone back to it. I want to, and I do plan on it and streaming it and the whole jazz. But it's definitely the type of game that's designed for like a quick play session, and then you move on. It's a roguelite type of game. So the whole gameplay is, the way it works is you play level 1. In level 1, the way the game works is if you die, you age the amount of years of the amount of times you died. So the first time you die, you'll age 1 year. The second time you die, you age 2 years. Third time, fourth time, whatever. Once you hit, like, say you've died 10 times, now you're aging 10 years, and your character looks older. Every time you come back from the dead, though, you are a little stronger, but a little slower. So you have, more strength and more kind of skill. Your moves like kind of land better, but you're aging, so you can't move as quickly. So there's a trade-off there. And the goal is, once you beat level 1, I went to level 2, I died however many times. I kind of wanted to give myself a better chance, so I went back to level 1, replayed it, and was able to get through it without dying once. This way, when I start level 2, I'm at a younger age. So this way, if I die, I'm not aging as quickly. Once you hit 70, I think, and you die, it's it, game over. You can't, you start over again. And level 3 was fucking tough. It's a hard game. It's not an easy game to play. But each level, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I mean, they don't take very long to get through, especially the better you get at the game. So it's really like, to have it on the Switch is really a great travel game to have. You can play it on the crapper. You can just kind of get through a few levels when you're bored. Like, I'm excited. I almost want to buy it for the Switch, even though I already have it for PS5.
Well, that's my question. Is the game, so I don't know what the price point's going to be for the Switch. How much was it on PlayStation? Was it $40?
It was 40. Sorry,
it was
40.
40. Okay. 40. So, is it still worth 40 for the Switch, or should that be 20?
So for 30? Me, since I already own it on PS5, I'll probably wait until I can get some sort of discount or get a gift card or something. Yeah. But if you haven't played it, it's 100% worth getting at the full price on Switch.
Oh,
and the graphics are nothing to write home about. You don't need the PS5 version. A Switch version is going to look just as good.
And even on the PS5 version, it wasn't meant to be this crazy graphical game. It was
I mean, you had your like lighting effects, and there's probably more particle effects than the Switch will have. but gameplay wise, I don't see any reason why it won't run as smoothly and as nice and be as fun to play on Switch.
Interesting. So I know if you're looking at your list, GTA's next, but I'm going to skip ahead to the one past that.
Okay.
Talk about 2K real quick. 2K was recently hacked as well, and they're experiencing leaks and password issues, account issues with the customers, and they're going through their own type of hell. And I think there's another developer that I couldn't confirm, but I heard there was another developer who recently got hacked as well. I want to say it was been Ubisoft, honestly.
Yes. Yes.
But what? Now, the reason I bring this up is because Rockstar was also hacked. What is going on with all these developers being hacked? And we'll get to GTA in a second, but
I feel like it's the timing is a little suspect, right? Like why?
Yeah, it's strange.
Why all of a sudden are they all getting hacked? I mean, is there a marketing reason? You know, that's that Rockstar wasn't even upset that they got hacked. So
I
you know
think
what I mean?
they
Like,
were, and we'll get into that. But
yeah, we'll get into it. But I just feel like why all of a sudden is the security so bad that they're getting hacked so easily?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what happened where all these developers, like, did everyone's security team on their network just fall asleep and hit the open the floodgates for everyone to steal their shit? Like, I don't know,
but there's definitely something weird going on.
Yeah, it's odd, but
everyone's getting hacked out of nowhere.
2K got hit, Ubisoft got hit, and Rockstar got hit, and that'll bring up GTA6. The person that hacked Rockstar grabbed a lot of development footage of GTA 6. So you get a pretty good look at the new world they're creating. And again, this is development footage, so the characters aren't really created yet. Like, some of them are just crash dummies, basically, just, you know, blank character models.
Right.
But you get to see the environment they're building, and one of the scenes I don't know if I'm allowed to even say it, to be honest. But
you might get slapped on the wrist, but
yeah, I might.
It's worth the risk.
But it like it was a hostage situation in a fast food chain, and it looked awesome, man. Like, every hostage character had like its own line and like scaredness to the situation, and every time you walked up to a new character, it was like something, like it was like a different story was happening, you know what I mean?
It's honestly crazy to me how Rockstar continues to find ways to make their world feel more real and lived in. It's crazy to me. You know, we've come so far in the open world like kind of game that it's easy to think, you know, okay, well, it can't get any better. And they just know the tiny details that you don't even think of that make the game feel real, make the world feel real.
Like, so it goes to my point of other like open world games, like let's say like Zelda Breath of the Wild, right?
Right.
People are claiming that's the best open world game that's out, that's ever been created, and this and that, blah, blah, blah.
That's such a silly thing to say.
It is, because it's such an empty world. Like, there's nothing to it other than, you know, the couple boss fights where aren't even characters. They're mechanical beings that are floating in the sky. Like, there's really nothing to it unless you go to like a random town. The fact that GTA can put life into every inch of their world, whether it's a passerby walking you know, across the street or whatever, somebody driving by screaming, calling you an asshole for blocking the road, like it doesn't matter. Like, they think of everything in their world, and it blows my mind every time.
And you really feel like in the GTA games and even in the Red Dead Redemption games, those things will happen whether you're there or not. There's, you know, there's no like it only triggers when I'm in the area. Like, you just know that even if you
Mhm.
weren't there, you'd still have somebody flipping somebody off because they almost hit them in the street or something. Like that's the kind of stuff that makes it amazing.
Yeah, agreed. They just know what they're doing. And what's interesting with GTA 6 and Buttersworth, yes, it's going back to Vice City, but there are rumors that you are going to be going to South America as well,
Yes.
and possibly Liberty City, which I'm super excited about. Liberty City
And
is my favorite
flashbacks.
city.
There's a rumor that they're gonna have flashbacks where you'll play a little bit of the game in the like basically an updated version of the Vice City that we already played in the original Vice City game.
Yeah, dude,
You know?
this game is gonna be bonkers.
It's gonna be nuts.
And
Gonna be nuts.
for me personally, now that I heavily play the online version. Well, I
Yep.
did heavily play the online version, and seeing that kind of adapt as the years went on was awesome. But being so locked into one location for so long it's super annoying, and it gets very boring. Even though they'll add, you know, different stories here and there, it's still the same map and everything. So I'm glad, if this is true, that we're gonna have multiple cities and stuff like that. I'm glad that we're finally getting it, and now's the perfect time for it, because with the solid state drives and all the consoles and PCs, you can jump from city to city, no problem. Everything renders immediately.
And you were, I remember there was a big rumor when GTA 5 first came out that the GTA Online portion of it, the idea was you have Liberty City, oh not Liberty City, I'm sorry, San Andreas, whatever, to essentially run around in, and the goal was to eventually add Liberty City and Vice City, so that the online portion was these 3 giant maps that you could jump from. And I guess the technology just wasn't really there. So it's something that they were thinking about, you know, a decade ago. Right. And you just know Rockstar has not let go of that dream, and they've probably been working on it. And I feel like that's going to be the big thing we're going to get.
Yeah, and it's not just their dream, it's everyone's dream. There's no reason why I can't get in a plane and literally fly to Liberty City.
Right. And you're just loading in a new map. I mean, you know, technology wise, it's not like you have to actually physically go anywhere. You're just hitting a button, watching a little cutscene while the game kind of changes all the assets, and boom, you're in a new spot.
And if you think about it, like what was it, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart?
Yep. That's the first step, right? That's like the first concept that puts us in that
proves that you can literally in a split second go to a brand new map and have it load instantly. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously the GTA world's a lot more detailed, but it can be done, man, especially if you're in the air flying, like you said, and they're rendering everything beneath you.
Right, you go above the clouds, right? So all you see is just a white screen basically with the plane. Yeah. Or, you know, maybe if you're inside the plane, you just kind of render that so you can walk around the plane or do whatever you want, and the game does the rest.
Yeah.
Horizon is a perfect example of what can be done. I mean, the Horizon games, for anyone who doesn't know, they only render the visual cone of your camera. So when you're looking in a direction, you have a certain degree that's rendered in full detail. The rest of the game is gone, just disappears, empty space. And as you turn your head in real time, it just renders everything it needs to render and removes what it doesn't. I mean, you know, there are tricks. They could do it, especially with the modern systems, like you said. They absolutely could do it.
Yeah, they could definitely do it, and I would love for them to do that. But to go back to this leak issue, apparently they found the person in the UK.
Was 17, right?
17 years old. He hacked Rockstar and grabbed those development files, which
he's a hero. Wild. He's a hero to everyone in the gaming world, because now that we have official confirmation that GTA 6 is on the way.
It does exist.
Confirmation
it's not just a rumor.
Worked on, and it's not even like just starting. Like they're deep into it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Official confirmation, multiple protagonists, first female protagonist. I mean, he is a hero amongst men. He's the modern day Robin Hood. I don't care what anyone says.
I mean, I can't say much else other than what you just said, but I will say that the other developers think differently, and they're siding with Rockstar and feeling, you know, sorry that this happened, because to be fair, Rockstar is getting a lot of heat for it looking the way it looks, which doesn't make sense, because it's a development video. You're not getting the full game.
Right,
And
they haven't this is what it looks like before they decided to polish it.
right.
This is literally just a basic build. I mean, Breath of the Wild was created in 2D sprites like Legend of Zelda just to make sure the concept worked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no one cared. Why are people upset now because GTA 6 developer build looks as good as that? And you know they're just gonna by the time they're done, they're gonna make a game that is going to look the best of any game we've ever played in our lives.
Agreed.
It's just crazy to me that people are just mad. It just shows you can't please anybody on the internet. You know what I mean?
Facts. And what the developers started doing, I don't know if you were paying attention to Twitter, they were releasing their own development videos of popular games. Like Guerrilla Games were releasing, Horizon
That's
development videos. Santa Monica was doing
just to
it.
kind of show what like their games look like too.
Yeah, like, hey, you know that game, The Last of Us, you all loved? This is what it looked like when we were building it. So shut your mouth. Like everybody's kind of standing up for Rockstar, which is cool to see from the developer side.
Yeah.
And it kind of like shuts everyone up. Like all your favorite games look like this. You have to wait for the finished product when it all comes together. So people are going crazy.
Doesn't it make you shake your head though? Like, what do people think that? Rockstar basically spends a month, they build a game that looks like the final version of Red Dead Redemption 2 and then spend the next few years trying to fix the mechanics.
I guess
that's not how it works.
Yeah,
I guess that's what people thought, but like
when you're developing characters and like mechanics, you don't want to render in a whole city all the time. You just leave it as blocks and you work on the one thing that you're there to work on. Like,
well, I think that's the problem, right? People don't realize that. The driving mechanics is handled by one team or probably one person.
Right.
The shooting mechanics, one team or one person.
Yep.
The animation department is a team, and each person on the team is animating a different thing. One person's handling the walking, one person's the running, one person's the climbing. Like, there's a reason why the credits, if you ever take a second, just look at the credits for any movie or video game, it's like hundreds or thousands of people. Like, it's teams and teams and teams working on very small portions.
And like a lot of it is different studios and different like nothing is done by one studio. Yes, Grand Theft Auto is one studio, right? But wrong. Grand Theft Audio has Grand Theft Rockstar Montreal, Rockstar the UK Rockstar, New York Rockstar. Like, they're studios all over the world, and the UK one could be the one working on driving, and the New York one is working on punching. Like, it's just such a giant collaborative effort, and people don't realize that. They just think they put everything together and then tweak it as they go. That's not how it works.
It's nuts. It's nuts
crazy.
To me. I saw those developer leaks and I was like blown away by, again, I wasn't watching it to see the graphics. I was watching it more to see kind of the details and how the game is going to differ. How is it going to be similar to RDR2? And, just to see the level of attention to detail that's already there when we're so far out from the game being done is incredible to me. And the fact that people are upset about anything is just... It's just nuts.
I will say this though, now more than ever, they need to officially announce. I mean, the game's been announced, but officially release some sort of teaser for it.
They should actually release a teaser using the developer footage.
Development footage. That would be amazing if they did that.
I'd crack up. They would.
Yeah.
I already respect Rockstar a lot, but that would win so much respect.
Yo, that would be amazing. They're like, the official trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, and it's all crash dummies and block buildings.
And then have somebody like just walk out on screen at the end and be like, "This is what you guys wanted." So here it is.
This is what you wanted to see, right? Thank your 17-year-old hero.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, so I thought it was cool that the developers were kind of backing them and showing their development footage, and it's just strange that all these studios are getting hacked to kind of tie it all together. Like, what is happening on the security side? Jesus.
Yeah, it seems weird that it would all happen in such quick succession,
Yep. Moving on real quick, Deathloop is now available for Game Pass, I believe on PC and Xbox. Did you play Game Pass for PlayStation?
Deathloop, you mean?
Or Deathloop? Yep.
I did not. I never bought the game, and I think wasn't it available for free for PS Premium members? I think I'm gonna double check right now. It is a game I wanted to play. It seemed like a very interesting concept, but I wasn't gonna pay full price.
Because they added the game to Game Pass, they also added it to their game catalog on PS Plus if you have the extra or the premium edition.
Yeah, that's what I have right now. So I'm gonna go and download it right now. Maybe I'll try and stream it tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. So I never played it. I was always interested in trying it, but I wasn't. From what I was hearing, it didn't seem like the game that was worth paying for.
Right. I feel the same way. But for free,
yeah, for free, I'll definitely check it out. And I'm gonna check it out on the PlayStation because that's where it's meant to be played. This was a PlayStation game until their exclusive contract ran out.
I'm downloading it as we speak, so maybe I'll jump on sometime tonight or tomorrow and
look out for that on twitch.tv/GGENetwork. And lastly, just as topics, the PS5 is coming out with a Pro version in 2024.
So is that official? Did they officially say that?
I'm seeing this announced everywhere, honestly. So PlayStation didn't officially announce it, but everyone else is officially announcing it. So there must be something out there that's telling them that this is definitely happening. But I always hated the fact that there would be a Pro edition. Like when they did that with PS4, I got very angry. Because it was literally like 6 months after I finally got the PlayStation 4. Because I got the PlayStation 4, I think, a year or so after it first came out. And like 6 months later, the Pro Edition came out, and I was furious.
Yeah, but I feel the same way. Like I'm the type of person that I feel like I want to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, and have the new game or the new system. Mm-hmm. But I can't. The thing is, the trade-in value for the original is always like less than half. So it basically takes the $500 system I already bought, and now I'm going to spend $700 on one that's slightly better.
Right.
It's just not. I also feel like though the PS5, I get that it's been out for a few years, but it's still hard to get.
Correct.
People are still struggling to find it, and now you're going to come out with a Pro version that technically should be even harder to get. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. It's a great point. People still can't even get like Buttersworth, for example. He's still waiting to get a PS5.
Right. He says in the chat that he's going to just wait for the Pro edition at this point.
Yeah, you might as well. I think he said he opted for the Xbox because it was available, which I completely understand. And if you have an Xbox and Game Pass, then you have all the games that are available for Xbox. Yeah. So it's a no-brainer. But there's no rush to get a PS5 if they're coming out with this Pro edition now.
You might as well just wait at this point, especially if it's going to come next year.
Right.
It just seems like a silly move to me. Focus on getting PS5s available. I understand that they're breaking records sales-wise and all that stuff, but like it's such a pain in the ass. I had to help 6 or 7 of my friends find a PS5, and it required all of us to be on computers at the same time, hitting refresh, and it's just the most annoying thing ever. And yet now you're telling me that my system is going to be a dated one? Like, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. You want to know the story for how I got mine?
Yeah, what's that?
So I was like gung-ho, I'm getting a PS5. I followed everyone and everything you could possibly follow on Twitter that was doing inventory announcements. I followed a Twitch. There was a couple Twitch channels that had live inventories on their channel. And literally when, let's say, Walmart got a PS5 in stock, it would sound an alarm in the chat or in the Twitch, and it would be like this crazy obnoxious alarm to like let you know that, hey, Walmart has a PS5 in stock, and then boom, you go to Walmart's website and try to buy it real quick. Like, I was that deep into it, and probably like how kind of you were with your friends. Like I was insanely deep trying to get this PS5. I failed miserably every time, right? I go to my local Walmart to pick up, you know, a couple groceries and some random things I forget. And I'm like, you know what? Let me take a walk into the electronics. And I casually asked the guy, like thinking, you know, he's just going to tell me, look at me crazy and be like, yeah, right. Good luck. You know, I'm like,
Right.
is there any PS5s available? He goes, actually, we have a shipment coming in tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And he hands me a ticket that guarantees me a PS5 if I come back at 8 o'clock. I have this golden ticket to buy a PS5. All because I had to like pick up butter or something. You know what I mean?
Right. And you just happen to ask.
I'm sitting at my computer screen at work. I have 4 monitors on my desk, and I'm like rapid fire, like the Matrix, trying to decode when all these places are getting a PS5.
Just looking at like a wall of green.
Yeah, and it was because I went to go pick up groceries and asked the dude. They're like, "Oh yeah, just come back at 8. Here you go. Here's your ticket." I'm like, "God damn it."
That's how it works, though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know,
but
so for me, I was able to get it. I signed up with Sony for like the raffle of being one of the first ones to pre-order a PS5.
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to get chosen for that. So
that's awesome.
The moment I got the email, I signed up for it, and
it was
then
directly with Sony.
With Sony, directly with
Yeah.
Sony, and then they emailed me sometime in the summer and basically said, all right, you know, you're one of the few that can pre-order it. And I literally dropped everything I was doing. I was at work and I pre-ordered it. And then the day it came out, it was at my door. I had my wife, she was working from home that day, and I was basically texting her all day, do not let it sit outside. If someone steals my shit, I'm losing it.
Yeah,
so, you know, the moment the bell went off, she went and grabbed it.
That's
and
amazing.
yeah. So I didn't have a hard time getting it, you know what I mean? But everyone else, it was a nightmare.
It's crazy because I have a buddy that lives in Alaska, right?
Right.
And he can get a PlayStation whenever he wants. You know how
That's
many
crazy.
Bro, he'll go to his local GameStop. He'll buy the PlayStation and ship it to a friend elsewhere in the States because they can't get it. But in Alaska, it's like the
so
population and it's crazy. Not as many, you know, people to worry about. Where it's like over here, every store, there's a GameStop like every 7 blocks.
Yeah.
and they're all sold out. You know what I mean? Like,
just kind of as like a last point on this whole pro thing is like, at least with the PS4 and even the PS3, when they released the upgraded versions, there was at least there was a reason for it. Like you could feel that there was a need for a better version. There was the PS3 was gigantic, so they were coming out with the slim version, and while they were doing that, upgrading things, it made sense. With the PS4, they even did the same thing. It was a slimmer version. It could do 60 frames per second, higher frame rates, all that kind of stuff, higher resolution. I mean, like that kind of made sense. So I get why they were doing it. But I played the PS5 multiple nights a week from the moment I hooked it up.
Yep.
I use it all the time. There's not one part of the system that feels outdated yet.
Right.
So to announce a Pro, all I'm thinking is like, well, what is this one missing? I mean, if you're gonna
and the only thing you can think of is graphical power, like
right, but like how much better is it gonna get?
Like they just announced the 4090 graphics card.
I know, man, that's nuts.
And I got the 30. I got lucky enough to get a 3070. That's another crazy story.
Yeah.
I got the 3070 when it first came out, right? And that was what? 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, and now the 4090s are out.
Yeah.
So it's like the graphical power changes so quickly that it's almost like PS5 just like, you know what, we'll put this chip in and then we'll make more money on the PlayStation because all those people that bought it the first time are going to buy it the second time.
And that's kind of goes back to what I first said is like I want to get the new system. If they come out with a pro version, I want it. But if I spent $400 on my system, right? I got the discless version. If I trade this in, what am I going to get? $75 for it, and then I got to spend another $300 on the pro system. Like, so now altogether it's going to cost me $600 or $700 for a system that has a minor upgrade. It just doesn't. I guess I'll wait to see what the specs are, whatever they announce. But like, it just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. It's a money grab.
Yeah. I just saw the thing you sent me.
Yeah,
all those videos are crazy, developer videos. But yeah, so it's annoying that the Pro's coming out. It honestly, the only way I'll get it is if I get a decent value in a trade that makes, and that the PS Pro is that much better than the original. That's the only way I would upgrade. I never upgraded my PS4 when the Pro came out.
Same here. I still, to this day, my PS4, the original PS4 that I waited online for, is the one I play. It's unhooked. It's right behind me in my my little streaming area. And you know, if I want to watch a Blu-ray, I hook that up and watch the Blu-ray on it. It's, you know, it's a workhorse. And like I said, I play it multiple times.
Sounds like an airplane.
Every week. Yeah, but it still goes strong.
Yep.
You know, and not for nothing. So, you know, I'm a tech guy, and, you know, some of you and I are similar. You know, we're looking at the graphics and all the little details and all that kind of stuff. Can the games look better on my PS4? Sure. Yep. Is it really going to change the gameplay too much? Not really. Maybe the loading screens will take a little longer, but
everything will load quicker.
Yeah, that's, you know, and to me, I come from the days where you had to blow into a cartridge to get it to work. So
yeah,
if I have to wait for it to load a little bit, it's not a big deal to me.
Right. All right, so let's move on. We got quite a bit of games releasing. If you're new to the podcast, the last podcast of the month, I always bring up what's coming out for the next month. So we have a pretty large, now we are in the season of gaming. If you are a gamer, you know from September to December is prime time gaming. You're getting all your news. Well, I'll say a lot of the news comes in the summer, but it's amping up what's coming in the fall, right?
Right.
So all the big drops are in the fall and the winter. And September didn't disappoint. October is definitely not going to disappoint. And with that being said, I'm just going to run through the list. It's on the screen. Chris, if you want to follow along as I go through this.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
So we have Desert Rally, which seems to be all platforms, coming October 4th. Now, here's a big one. We have Overwatch 2. This is a highly anticipated multiplayer game out of Activision Blizzard, aka Microsoft.
I don't get into the battle royale too much.
Yeah, I was never a fan of Overwatch 1, but what makes this different is Overwatch 2 is going to be free to play.
See, that I might try then.
Yeah, so it's free to play on all platforms. So I may try it out. It's usually not my style multiplayer. I'm more Call of Duty type, but I may try it because it's free to play. But that's for the multiplayer world. This is a big time release for them.
Hey, stream it on Twitch. Let people see what it looks like.
Yeah. This is October 4th. We have Deathverse Let It Die coming to PC only on October 5th. Near Automata.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it. I'm glad you messed it up because I don't even know how to say it.
When you read it quick, it's
the end of your edition.
Yeah, the end of your edition is coming to the Switch on October 6th. Triple Take PC October 6th. No Man's Sky. This seems like
so bad.
This is going to be such a strange game for the Switch.
It's going to be so bad. I mean, now No Man's Sky is fantastic. On PS5,
it took them a long time to get there. It took them
a long time. And on PS5, the No Man's Sky looks beautiful. The graphics are fantastic. It's a fun game if you've never played it to jump into, especially if you get the PSVR 2 and want to play it in virtual reality. It's gonna look fantastic. No Man's Sky on Switch is gonna be like the original. I can't see how it's gonna look halfway decent. There's so much going on. I don't even know. I have no idea.
Nintendo, it just blows my mind that they refuse to advance the graphics of their games. They rather just stick with their cartoony, 720p graphics that the Switch can provide.
They would absolutely dominate the gaming landscape if they came out with a system that could rival PS5.
Did you see that? I think it was One Shot that posted it. It was either me or One Shot. I don't even remember if I did it or not. It was of Mario in the Unreal Engine 5.
Oh my god, it looked gorgeous.
Oh, it looked insane. It looked absolutely
Absolutely
insane. And I can go on a Nintendo rant all day with this. It's annoying.
That'll be a whole other episode of the Multiversal podcast. We'll just start ripping it apart.
Moving on with the October 7th, we have Superpower 3 coming to PC. We have No More Heroes 3 on PC October 11th. Now, for me, this is a pretty big release. PGA Tour 2K23.
Tiger Woods' return.
Yes,
return
exactly.
To the cover of a golf game.
The return of Tiger Woods to the video game world. This is coming October 11th. I actually enjoyed Rory and enjoyed 2K21.
Right.
So the fact
I didn't play
that
it too much.
Yeah, I played 2K21 when they offered it for free. It was a free on PS Plus for a month. So I played it there, and me and my buddies had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, the return of Tiger Woods, that's a big one. October 11th. We have Lego Bricktales coming PC, PS4, Xbox, Switch, October 12th. Time Melters is PC only, October 12th.
Yep.
Dying Light 2, Stay Human, Bloody Ties DLC, all platforms coming, except for the Switch, coming October 13th. Eternal Cylinder, PS5, Xbox Series X, so only new gen, October 13th. Fueled Up, and feel free to stop me if you're excited for anything that I'm mentioning. Fueled Up, PC, PS4, Xbox, October 13th. We have Lost. How do you even say that?
I would pronounce it as Eidolons.
Eidolons, I like it.
I don't even know if that's right or close.
Lost or Eidolons, PC, October 13th. Sunday Gold, PC, October 13th. Triangle Strategy, PC, October 13th.
October 13th got a bunch coming out.
Yeah, for real. WRC Generations, Sony and Xbox, October 13th. Now, Buttersworth said he tried the beta for Dragon Ball The Breakers. This is coming out October 14th. He said this game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he compared it to Budokai's graphics with Xenoverse's gameplay.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, because both of those games, Budokai 3 in particular, was just an outstanding Dragon Ball game, and Xenoverse 2, for anyone who wants an open world Dragon Ball game, is another outstanding one. The trailer for The Breakers didn't really do anything for me, but after him talking about it, I was looking earlier today for the beta version to see if I could test it out a little bit, and I didn't see it on the PlayStation Store, but there is a beta out now if you want to try it out.
Yeah, I may have to check it out, because like you, the trailer did nothing for me.
Yeah.
We have No More Heroes 3, Xbox.
Didn't you say that already?
Did I?
Oh, that's so PC is October 11th, and then it comes out.
Gotcha.
For the consoles, it looks like.
Yeah.
At a later date. Okay.
At a later date. Oh, the standard edition's October. The standard edition comes out at a different time as the. Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's strange, right?
The deluxe edition comes out October 11th. I'm talking about PGA right now. PGA standard comes out the 14th. That's odd.
That's very odd. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it before.
Yeah. So Taiko no, yes, okay. Tatsujin. That
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Yeah,
Rhythm Festival. The fact that it says Rhythm Festival and it's for Switch tells me it's going to be probably similar to that. What was that game for Game Boy Color or Game Boy Touch? It was like, where it was like you were like the cops and you had to tap the screen to music in order to finish the levels. I can't think of the name now.
Remember?
It's basically like Guitar Hero, but the Nintendo version. So it should be fun.
Should be. A Plague Tale Requiem coming October 18th. That should be a good game. Plague Tale is a pretty good series. Marvel Snap PC October 18th.
What is that? I never even heard of that.
I'm not 100% sure, but I know Marvel's coming out with some sort of like Pokemon Snap type of game, Pokemon Go type of game. I don't know if this is it, but
for PC maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it would be a mobile game if it was like a Pokemon.
That's what I would think, right?
Thing. But I'm not sure what Marvel Snap is. Them's fighting herds.
So reward for the best title of a game release in October has to go to this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Herds.
Them's fighting herds. Comes October 18th, and that looks like all platform besides PC. Destiny
Yep.
Sword is PC October 19th. The Last Workers, PC October 19th. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves coming to PC finally. So
Another,
this is another
Sony
Sony
exclusive for Xbox.
coming to PC.
I'm sorry, for PC, for Microsoft.
Yeah. I think it's going to be on Steam if you're going to buy it. The Epic Store and Steam, October 19th. Batora, Lost Haven, all platforms besides Switch, October 20th. And Hell is Others, PC only, October 20th. Now we have Mario Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. This is the sequel to the first Mario Rabbids that they created. This is a joint operation with Ubisoft and Nintendo.
This is a this wins the reward for game I care least about in October.
Correct.
I just have no interest.
Gave zero shits about Mario Rabbids the first time, and I can care less the second time. But to its credit, it's still pretty popular, and I'm sure it'll sell well. So that's coming October 20th. Warhammer 40,000 Shooters, Blood and Teeth. we have some competition. Names, we have competition for titles right now. Shooters, Blood and Teeth. October 20th. I'm gonna have to look that up because that whole.
Yeah, I mean, Warhammer has always been a good series. I haven't seen much of this
title one. Is intriguing.
It's always interesting to me though when a game is coming out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and then also the Switch.
Yeah,
because to me, is the Switch basically a different version? Is it going to be really crappy looking?
Yeah, how shitty is it going to look
the same? Because if it's going to look the same, then it's not worth any money on current consoles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It can only be as good as its worst,
right.
Hardware,
right. And I love the Switch, but unless you're Mario or Zelda or Kirby, you don't really do well on Switch.
Nope. Agreed. So here it is.
This is the big one.
The big one. October 21st.
For me, this is my most anticipated.
100%, hands down. Gotham Knights is finally here. We've watched every character trailer. We've watched the group trailers. Yep. Anything that Gotham Knights put out, we've watched it and reacted, whether it was on a podcast or whatever projects we got going on the channel. This is a big one for all of us. And I think the fact that this is going to be a co-op game, we need to dive into this.
100%. I'm fully prepared to pay full price for it and jump on with you. And well, we're the only ones with PS5, so I guess it's just you and me, and maybe grab some other PS5
well,
players.
Here's the question that I don't know. If it's cross-play, then we can play with everyone.
Oh, yeah.
If it's only, per console, then me and you could definitely dive in PS5. Oh, yeah. But my question to you now is, are you going to be Robin?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm excited because Batman's not even in this game. It's all the side characters. So that's what I've been waiting for. I'm waiting for
a game of Robins.
The gallery. Yeah. It's basically a game of Robins and Batgirl.
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The trailers, all the footage they released, doesn't make me feel the warm and fuzzies for it. I just feel like it's gonna be monotonous, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like as tight as the Arkham games have been.
Right.
However, it's a multiplayer game in the Arkhamverse where you can play co-op. Like, how can you not buy it immediately and give it a shot? You know what I mean? So 100%. I'm gonna jump in, and I can't imagine it not being fun playing with other people, even if it's not such a great Arkham game. Playing with you guys and just like kind of beating some ass, like I can't imagine it not being a fun game.
It's gonna be amazing. Butter says if it's crossplay, I'm so down. Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll let you know. We'll see. I actually don't even know if it's fully crossplay or what.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
If they're smart, it should be, but we'll see.
So we have new Tales from the Borderlands coming October 21st on all platforms.
That should be cool.
Yeah, Persona 5 Royale. All
that'll be good on
platforms.
Switch. I don't see that doing well anywhere else.
Hate Persona games, so that's
same here. I'm not a fan.
I'm not trying to boot up a game and go to school and learn from a teacher, and that's not gaming to me. So October 21st, that's dropping. Scorn, PC and Xbox only. So I'm assuming that's a Game Pass product.
Yep. Yep. I'll give that a shot. That looks like a scary ass game.
Yeah. October 21st. Horse Club
Speaking
Adventures.
of games, Horse Club Adventures too.
Exactly.
Hazelwood Stories.
This is all platforms. October 25th. Victoria 3 PC. October 25th. Moonshine. October 27th. PC.
Moonshine. I don't know about the game, but I assume it's gonna be another one of these like relaxing games, similar to like House Flipper and Power Washer. You'd probably just making moonshine and selling it.
Yep. Saturnalia. All platforms. October 27th. Star Ocean: The Divine Force. On everything.
Another crappy
but
RPG that no one's gonna play.
Exactly. October 27th. Now we have a couple heavy hitters back to back on October 28th. We have Bayonetta 3, which is a major release for Nintendo. That is coming on the Switch October 28th. It's highly anticipated, and it's going to do very well. And for me, outside of Gotham Knights, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is coming October 28th. I've already pre-ordered it, already played the beta. I've absolutely loved the beta. I'll probably talk more about it on the next episode as I gather thoughts on everything, because I think there's a couple betas that are going to happen, and they're each going to, feature a different game mode. So I'll probably gather all my thoughts and kind of really dive into it. But so far, what I've played has been fun. The new game modes have been different for a Call of Duty, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Third person is hard to get used to for being Call of Duty, but
now is the whole game in third person, or is that just an option you could switch?
It's like a game mode, I think. Well, the game mode that they offered it's called third person mosh pit. So every match you play is third person only. I think there is a portion at some point. I think you can switch between first and third. I don't know how that works yet, but the third person game modes were just silly fun. Dude, everybody's three peeking corners. Like, no, you're not running and gunning like normal. You're hiding behind a corner waiting for somebody to walk by and then coming out and blasting them with a shotgun. Like, it's very ratty and silly. I was having fun with it, but overall, so far in the betas, it's been a lot of fun. And that comes out October 28th, and only the game, not Warzone. That'll be in November. Factorio is coming to the Switch October 28th, and last but not least, The Unliving on PC October 31st. And that'll do it with all the October releases, man. It's a big time release month for gaming. And October is not gonna fail us. So what is Gotham Knights the one that you're most looking forward to? Okay.
That and Scorn. Scorn is a game that looks like it's gonna be short and sweet. It's something that I'll kind of give a shot and probably play just around Halloween time.
Yeah.
But besides that, the only game I'm really interested in on this entire list in October is Gotham Knights.
Cool.
And that's meaning, listen, we're all adults. We all have families. We all have things we're doing. I can't afford to be buying games like I used to.
Right.
So if I'm going to spend it, I got to spend it on a game that I feel like I'll spend 60 hours in.
Correct.
And Gotham Knights is that kind of game.
Yep. Yeah. For me, it's going to be Call of Duty and Gotham Knights, and then I'll try Tiger Woods and all that stuff at a later date. Real quick, we're going to shoot over to the wrestling verse. I only have one thing to say. Are you familiar with Paige from the WWE?
Familiar enough. I mean, I don't follow wrestling as well as all you guys do. Yeah. But I know who you're talking about.
So she made her debut on AEW, and she's going by her real name, Saraya. Okay. This was one of the loudest pops I've heard for a character coming to AEW or coming out after like a long injury, or some sort of debut. It's been a long time I heard a pop like this. She got one of the loudest pops, definitely the loudest for a female wrestler.
Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. It was incredible, but definitely the loudest for a female. But the pop was so loud, it really competes with some of the biggest pops for male entertainment as well.
Good.
Yeah,
About time.
It was a big time debut for her, and I know it probably meant a lot because she had that crazy neck injury in the WWE, and she didn't even think she can compete anymore. So the fact that she's in AEW and ready to go is pretty awesome.
Huge.
And then lastly, there was one other thing that I forgot to write down and I can't remember. I don't know. So I'm gonna end it there.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit it, I guess.
We'll have to revisit it. But Chris, I appreciate you joining me on this episode. It was a little longer than we normally do it, but with the two of us going back and forth, I thought it was good fun. And
I like to talk, so my bad if I bored anybody.
No, you're fine. But yeah, so everybody listening to me on listening to the podcast with Chris and I on Twitch, we thank you, Buttersworth, everybody lurking. If you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate it. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Like and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing to 1,000.
I think what you forgot to write down is Patreon. Don't forget to throw out the Patreon there. We have a Patreon started, and we got a couple of videos. If you want some unedited, unfiltered reactions to some of the new things coming out, I know Scythe, you did Andor episodes 1 and 2. They're going to be going up on the Patreon, and we'll add a link to the descriptions.
Yeah, so the Patreon is live. For you supporting us, we're gonna give you something exclusive. So you are gonna get my raw reactions unedited to Andor episodes 1 and 2, and we'll continue with 3 and 4 and how the seasons go. You will also get early access to our YouTube videos. So I know on Fridays the Hog Army goes heavy with Chris and One Shot's reactions. So if you feel inclined and you want to see it earlier than everyone else, they'll be on the Patreon a week earlier. We're trying to give back to you guys, so we appreciate the support. And lastly, we have the theater room coming Tuesday. We'll dive into House of Dragon, Ring of Power, She-Hulk, all the big topics on the entertainment side.
Andor is gonna be a big one on Tuesday. So
Andor, and
watch the show and tune in.
Yes. Unfortunately, I won't see the 3rd episode till Wednesday, so I'll have to kind of walk away and drown myself out.
We'll warn you when we get to the spoilers.
Give me the thumbs up. But we got a lot to talk about on Tuesday, and we'll probably have Wade Pool with us, Zuplex as we call him.
I'm sure. Yep.
And
One Shot Chris should be jumping in too, so should have a full boat on Tuesday.
Oh hell yeah, more than merrier.
Oh yeah.
So Chris, I appreciate you joining me on this episode, and this is episode 13 of the Multiversal podcast. And if you're listening on the podcast channel, the episode details will have links to Patreon and our merch and everything in details. So we thank you, we see you out there, and that will do it.
Later.